Okay, welcome back to Angelo's Sure Thing here on Collins River TV. Today's guest with me is David Toma. And David, we spoke about your years in the service, your years as a police officer, and your TV series. I think our fans would be interested to know, and if you don't mind, telling us how you actually got into the motivational speaking, the drug counseling, and really what your life was meant to be.
Well, Angel, let me say, when I was a young boy, I was 18 years of age, 17 years of age at the time. I had two nephews who were smoking pot, marijuana. And I saw what the marijuana was doing to them. I saw what it was doing to my family. So I started to speak about it. Now, when you talk about marijuana, let me tell you something. I'm going back almost 60 years. Nobody knew a damn thing about it. And that's why sometimes I see things today, I get so aggravated with people, because most people are misinformed about drug addiction. Most people. I'm talking a lot of professionals also. But as I was speaking, I was realizing how many people are messed up. How many kids, I was going into grammar schools and high schools, and these kids were begging for information. And they were doing the very things that I was talking about. And by the way, Angelo, I want to tell your audience, for years I've been telling people, I've given thousands and thousands of lectures. Thousands. I've done multi-millions of kids. In every high school in America that I have been in, every one, when I come off that stage, I will say to the kids, I'll go into another room, how many of you kids in this school, be conservative, are getting high? Every one of them says at least 80% of us. And nobody believed me. Nobody. The White House didn't believe me. Many congressmen didn't believe me. Many senators didn't believe me. People saying he's exaggerating, he's exaggerating, he's exaggerating. And as I was speaking, I was finding in every school, even in the junior highs, I said, my God, these kids, they're like they're going to confession with me. And I tried to tell professors, I tried to tell teachers, I tried to tell doctors, but nobody wanted to listen. And I got to tell you, Angelo, today we got an epidemic that is pandemic, and I'm going to make a little analogy for you. We're making a lot of mistakes in this society, a lot of mistakes. First of all, I want to get back to one little thing I want to talk about. They're talking about for medicinal purposes. I hope congressmen and senators and everybody listening to this now, they're talking about medicinal purposes in New Jersey, legalizing marijuana.
They're doing it in California.
They're doing it in California. I wish we had time to describe to this audience what marijuana does to the human body. How it affects every organ in your body. How it affects your eyes, your lungs, your liver. How do I know? I didn't read. I didn't make a survey. But I'll go into any school you want, and I'll talk to these kids, and I'll talk to them my way. And when I come off, they touch me, they love me, and I say, you're smoking pot? Tell me what's happening. Tell me the reaction you're having. Tell me what's happening to your eyes. I can't see right. I feel like another dimension. What's happening to your heart? I feel like I'm having chest pains. I can't breathe. And I go on and on and on. And I try to tell people this. But now let's get back to the medicinal purposes, okay? You got 8 million people in this state. 8 million people. Let's assume 400,000 or 500,000 people feel that they need this for medicinal purposes. Let's assume that. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you this. And I feel sorry for these people. Don't get me wrong. I understand you got certain diseases, you're suffering with pain. I understand that. There's alternatives you can use. But now, you see the other day, by the way, a young man is growing his own pot.
Yeah.
They locked him up. Well, he said, I needed it. I was sick. You see, he's only one of hundreds of thousands. A lot of these people are also going to go to doctors. Doctor, I've got a lot of problems. And so and so and so and so. Some doctors will throw you out. Some doctors will say, let me write a script for you, as long as you pay that doctor. Now, some of them will do that, right?
Well, you read that every day in the paper where they're arresting these doctors.
Of course.
Their licenses.
Now, let me say this, Angelo. Remember one thing. When you smoke pot, you alter the brain. Alter the brain means you made a change in the brain. You got high. Now what do? Let's assume, minimal, 400 to 500,000 people in New Jersey, for medicinal purposes, smokes pot. Do you say to them now, but remember one thing, while you're smoking, you can't go out. You got to stay in the house. You can't drive your car. How about many of them driving their cars? How about many of them doctors operating on people? How about many? I go on and on all day long. You understand what's going to happen on the streets? You understand you and I and your family, my family, are going to be victims of these people? You understand what's happening here? Where's the rationalization of this whole thing? How stupid can these people in Trenton be? They don't understand what's going to happen here. Because marijuana, when you smoke pot, you get high. When you get high, you can't function. You can't tell somebody you can smoke a joint, I'll give you a prescription, but I want you to stay in bed. And don't get out of bed, and don't go out of your house until it wears. Of course it's not going to happen. We're stupid. You're going to have people dying on the streets. It's a disgrace. Now, let me get to something else, Angelo, and forget about these sick people. Let me just explain something to you. I'll go to any treatment center you want. Anyone you want. I've done it all my life. Give me the worst of the heroin users. And I just did it recently. They were from Harlem. They were from Pennsylvania, so-and-so and so-and-so. Let them sit in the room. Did you ever do heroin? How long? For years. What happened with the heroin? Well, committed crimes, did this. They went on and on. Let me ask you something. All you heroin users in this room, how many of you started with pot? Every hand goes up. Let me ask you something. How many of you, when you're smoking pot, you'd say, I know one thing, I'll never stick that spike in my arm. I'll never use heroin. Every hand went up. How many of you said, I can't stand the sight of blood? Every hand went up. But you did, didn't you? Why? Because the addiction took over. Now let me explain something to your audience. Let me explain addiction very simply. Very, very simple. You read stories, you listen to some doctors, and many doctors know what they're talking about. Some don't. A lot of counselors know what they're talking about. A lot of them don't. And they say, well, let me ask you, how long are you doing it now? Let me see if you really are addicted to the... Angelo, it's so simple. I'm going to explain it to you, to your audience. You smoke a joint. You don't like it. You put it down. You don't like the feelings you got. You smoke a joint. You like what it did for you at that moment. Now, you don't smoke for another year. Another year and a half. A year and a half later, you go to a party or whatever it might be, or you have a fight with your husband, you have a fight with your wife, you lost your job, whatever, and you smoke a joint. You know why you smoked that joint, Angelo? Because you knew that a year and a half ago when you smoked, it made you feel the way you wanted to feel. That's what the addiction's all about. Knowing that there's something there that can alleviate that pain. Whether it's physical pain, whether it's emotional pain, whether it's the pain of you can't handle a job. That's the addiction in here. The addiction, don't worry about physical. Physical, it wears off. It's the emotional. You can't cut it out of the brain. And California's making a mistake. New Jersey's making a mistake. Many states are making a mistake. And we are going to pay the price for it. And I'm going to tell you, I want to add to that, Angelo. We're worried about terrorism. And we should worry about terrorism. We're worried about what's going to happen in this country. We're all afraid. You know what I want to tell the world? Forget that terrorism. You want to know what real terrorism is, Angelo? Think about it. That brain inside the skull controls the whole world.
That's right.
Controls the whole world. Everything we do is inside that brain. Controls everything. You stick garbage in that brain, can't function. And you know what other countries are really saying in essence, Angelo? Feed them. Feed them the drugs. Give them the heroin. Give them the pills. Give them whatever they want. They will destroy themselves.
Well, Afghanistan is the biggest producer of opium and
that's what we're
products.
doing. We're destroying ourselves.